Good evening, morning, whatever time it might happen to be, and welcome to Convoy Conspiracies. Hopefully everything's recording properly. My voice, the audio, it all looks good. Just had a few hiccups yesterday. Computer, and here's hoping that that's... It started out with my Thrustmaster wheel losing its driver, resetting or to a generic wheel. It didn't work properly. Didn't want to try and uninstall the driver. The Thrustmaster drivers were difficult, if I remember correctly, to get working. So I did a system restore, which did work. Not sure what I did to screw up the wheel, but after I did the system restore, my performance, in-game performance, was horrible. And then somehow I screwed up the microphone settings. So you might have noticed I uploaded a video last night that didn't include audio for my microphone, or the microphone audio was barely audible. So that's where we stand. Anyway, yesterday, I'll go over what happened here. We moved up from this area, Santana do Livramento Rivera, all the way to Rio Grande. In this area here, I got a ton of tickets. Probably got 5 or 6 speeding tickets. And I was running, I was running up against the clock on the sleep, but I made it all the way to the ferry without getting a ticket for sleep deprivation, avoiding sleep. So that's where we stand. We're about to take the ferry over to wow, this is really far. Okay. Calais, France. And from there we're going to run straight through the heart of Europe, all the way through Italy, down here to the port at Palermo. From there we'll jump over to Africa for a short little ride over to Tunisia. So that's where we're standing, and I guess I'll just repeat the conversation I had yesterday. What I was discussing in episode 5 was scientism, the religion of science. Okay, let's go ahead and jump over. Oh, it doesn't take any time. Oh, how cute. Yeah, typically a ferry will take some amount of time that will count towards your rest, but here it didn't give me any at all. So what I'm going to do is just, I guess I'll embark, and when we get to Calais, I'll have to... we'll have to figure something out here, because I still need to rest. I thought I would get some rest from the ferry ride, but apparently not. So, wow, this sucks. It looks like, okay, let me align my steering wheel here. Okay, now I'm in position here. We'll just have to be on the lookout for a rest area. This is ridiculous. Sortie. Yeah, frame rate looks good today. So whatever hiccups my computer was going through after that system restore seems to have gotten over them. So yeah, it actually looks really good. Frame rate. Okay, thank you. I know all about it. Okay. Welcome to France. EU. I'm getting some rubber banding here, so I wonder if I have my ASW set to 45 FPS. Let me hop out real quick and hold on. Oh my gosh! Not starting off well here. Well, since I ran the light already, I might as well. Okay, let's get to, or let's actually get over here and check the right. Maybe that'll fix it. The rubber banding. Okay, so now I really should have rested back in Brazil, but now I'm hunting for a resting spot here. Come on, light. You're gonna make me stop, aren't you? So yeah, I was talking about scientism, and we've talked about how it has become the so-called religion of the United States, of the West. It's what people believe in fervently. They believe that it's going to save the world, basically, that through science they're going to achieve immortality, health for everyone. Humanity will reach its true potential through vaccines and basically integrating our minds into one giant network. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the plan. And all the real technological advances that have happened since, let's say, World War II are largely based around information, processing information, connecting people, allowing, communication to occur on a massive, unheralded level. Unprecedented, not unheralded. So this is why people who are atheistic, they have no real faith in anything besides this vision of science and human evolution and progression. So anyone who opposes that, they view as a threat, an ignoramus, someone who just doesn't understand the complexities. They really have replaced what you might call the fundamentalist Christians that used to, have a very high degree of influence in the United States. They, the people that got the whatever amendment it was that enacted prohibition passed. I mean, these type of people that are believe that they're doing a good thing, but that are unaware of the unintended consequences of their actions. So we have scientism fundamentalists that demand orthodoxy. And if anybody teaches anything that goes against the tenets of scientism, those are, being evolution, random generation of life, and so forth. There's other things, Big Bang, vaccines being another one, saving the entire population of humanity from polio or whatever, measles, anything that goes against that, they react to it in a way that the fundamentalist Christians of old in the United States used to act. And these are the fundamentalist Christians that were members of the Ku Klux Klan, an organization run by Democrats, and still run by Democrats as far as I'm concerned. The only people they benefit are Democrats. So, okay, we're at 90 speed limit. And I'm not finding any rest areas here. Okay, we got a gas station coming up. And I got the avoid sleeping offense. What are you going to do? You live and you learn. I could have slept 1,000,000 times on that trip yesterday, and anyway, I spent far more on speeding tickets than I did on avoid sleeping offenses. So let's go ahead and gear down, and we will cruise on in here to the petrol station, or diesel, I guess. So, all right. Let's go ahead and fill it up real quick, or I might get another ticket. Okay. Okay, so sleeping area is right up here. We got a nice spot reserved for us here. Okay. Let's take a look. Right, I can't really. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get that sleep done. So we slept till about 4 in the morning, and we're ready to go. Thank you. The lights are on. We're ready to hit the road. And let's see, I forgot to check my euros. I'm down to 130. Losing money like a hand over fist here. Let's get going. Hey, we're clear. Just got a whoa, somebody coming off to my right here. Let's okay, so it looks like we're clear back there. Turn that signal off. Okay. So these modern day priests and priestly class and group of experts that have taken over the United States for the most part. They are fundamentalists. They're not willing to consider that any of their unprovable, unfalsifiable positions have any other causation besides what they dictate them to be. This is, I had an argument with someone online, last year or so, and, he was going off on Christians. And I said, well, you have religious faith too. And I said, you believe in the Big Bang? And he said, well, that's a fact. That's a scientific, that's not religion. I said, well, you have to have faith in the proposition of the Big Bang. There's no real evidence that it happened. He said, well, you just look at the stars and you can see that they're moving apart. That means there was a Big Bang. And I pointed out to him that that's not the way science actually works. You don't look at the after effects of something in the distant, long after it occurred and say, well, it's obvious that there was a Big Bang or that there was this causation for this observed phenomenon at this point. No, that's not science. You may want to think, you may have convinced yourself that it is, but it's not. It's just not. It's a faith statement at the end of the day. It's not something that is based on empirical data. He said, well, the empirical data is they've observed the stars moving farther apart. And I'm like, yeah, but that's there could be a million different reasons as to why these lights in the sky are moving farther apart, supposedly. And you think that the only possible reason was a Big Bang that happened for no reason at all? And you've got all the details of it figured out, but you've never seen a Big Bang. See, a scientist, someone who's actually collecting empirical data on something like the Big Bang, would actually have to observe a Big Bang before they could be sure that they had all the essential information to make claims about its nature and its origins. The same goes for evolution. You'd have to observe evolution before you can make blanket statements about it and say that it's a fact. This is the problem with it. And just because most scientists have bought off on this, it just goes to show you how weak and how pathetic human nature is when it comes to oh my gosh, okay, don't, okay, I'm gonna have to ride the shoulder here. Let me over, please let me over. Okay, thank you. So that brings me to flat Earth. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not necessarily a flat earther. I'm more of a world shape agnostic, you might say. I don't take NASA's word for much of anything because, NASA has, well, okay, I think we'll go this way. Thank you. Wow. People who are bought and paid for are not credible sources, and organizations that are bought and paid for, or that pushing something to further their own continuous intake of, let's say, taxpayer dollars, they're not trustworthy either. Why are you Province de Henao? All Good morning, good morning. Sun is rising. Okay, so my point about NASA is there's a movie called "A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon," a documentary, independent documentary that shows footage from, you know, the famous astronauts who landed on the moon, supposedly, staging a supposed photo of the Earth through the porthole of their craft in a darkened room. And they're receiving instructions from somebody on the ground on how to do this properly. And it's just it's ridiculous what they're doing. Is they're faking photos of the Earth. Okay? So if they were faking photos of the Earth on the Apollo missions, these supposedly oh my gosh, okay. Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Okay, we're speed limit is at 90. And let's just write it there. Okay. So if these supposed individuals of high integrity, now I don't count Buzz Aldrin as having a high degree of integrity. That guy is obviously a crook. But, you know, Glenn, right? Or Neil Armstrong, that guy is supposedly on the up and up, but here they are, framing that shot. Okay, this was a con job. At least that photo of the Earth. And of course, if you realize that they're staging this type of product, it leads you down the path of, you know, what did Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong do with the rest of the time they had available? How much con jobs were involved there? How much of it was real? How much of it was fake? I tend to believe that all that we've been shown is fake. Now, that's not to say that we didn't actually go to the moon, or that even that Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong weren't the ones that went to the moon. But okay, I gotta get over. Oh, this is dangerous. Okay, we gotta get over here. Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying that the moon isn't as they describe it. You know, 280,000 miles distant on average. But what I am saying is that what we were presented, the whole dog and pony show that was televised on, you know, nationally, that was fake. All right? And that what the reasons for that are many. I tend to think that there's a few more probable scenarios. The first is that they just couldn't go for whatever reason. There was some kind of technical issue, or maybe the moon isn't as it's been described to us. Maybe it's closer, maybe it's smaller, maybe there's something blocking them, some kind of radiation, the Van Allen belts or something that prevented them, Luxembourg, all right, that prevented them from actually going. Or it could be that there's a dome and there's no way physically to go to the moon. That's another possibility. You know, I don't have enough information. I've never been that high up. I can't confirm it for myself. I'm not going to trust agencies like NASA. And speaking of the agencies, you know, NASA is the most well-funded, the most prestigious. But you have other agencies like JAXA, and of course the Chinese. JAXA is the Japanese space agency. And if you look at their supposed moon trips where they've sent probes or basically robots with cameras out to fly around the moon at low altitudes. I mean, it's obviously CGI. It looks like a video game. And to Japanese people, I guess that is sufficient for them to believe that they've sent probes to the moon. But, you know, when I look at it, you can look up some of these JAXA moon approaches and judge for yourself, but they're not real. I mean, it's too clean, it's too synthetic, it's not a real image of flying around the moon. It's just, I mean, I can tell that it's fake. Maybe you don't have that ability. Maybe Japanese people don't have that ability in general. But, you know. And then the Chinese, I mean, don't get me started on them. They've got bubbles coming up everywhere. And one of the things I've discovered, you know, in the past few years is that NASA has a giant pool with a space station inside of it. Wow. Amazing. And they've had their own share of bubbles pop into shots here and there. And, you know, there's no bubbles in space. If you see a bubble, then it was shot in a pool. Period. That Chinese stuff, it was shot in a pool. You know? And when they talk about astronauts drowning, go look that up as well. You know, getting water in his helmet. That's something to do with being in a pool. All right? You're not going to have your helmet flooding with water out in space. I know there's water in those suits, supposedly, but how much water? Enough water to drown? They've even gone so far as to include snorkels in the suits now, which is ridiculous. You don't need snorkels in space. But, yeah, it's... the whole thing is ludicrous. Now, is that to say that I don't think anyone is going to space? I've already mentioned that no, I think it's possible. But all I know is that what they're showing us is not the real deal. Or they just can't produce it at all, but they need justification to continue receiving tax dollars from Congress, so they just gin up these fake videos in order to maintain their funding, which I imagine they're coming out way ahead on that. You know, it doesn't take that much to produce some videos. I think they receive on the order of $50+ million a day for their agency funding, so quite a significant amount of money going to them. Okay, France. We're back in France through Luxembourg. Okay. So that addresses NASA, but do I well, I guess what I was trying to say about NASA is that, you know, I respected them and admired the vision that they have created for America's populace. I really, you know, I'd fantasize about stars and galaxies and look at the deep space photos and just think about, you know, how far away these things were and whatnot. And now I just don't know. You know, there are lights in the sky, but are they trillions, quadrillions of miles away? I don't know. They don't have to be. It's just, you know, what we're told. It's all based on Einsteinian physics and the theory of relativity and the assumption that the speed of light is constant throughout the vast reaches of space. But there's no way to objectively verify that. We can't go to another solar system and shine lights at each other and determine the speed of light across such distances. We can't even cross those distances to begin with to confirm that they really are that far away. You know, it's all based on hyperbole. It's based on a house of cards when it comes to Einstein. The theory of gravity, that it has to account for black holes, and then black holes aren't even enough, so you have to incorporate dark matter and dark energy to hold everything together at the apparent speed it is traveling. And, you know, I'll go ahead and say, I'll go out on a limb and say there's no such thing as dark matter. Okay? Just not. There's no such thing as black holes. I know there was a supposed photo of a black hole that was recently... Okay, I'm gonna just cut across here. I don't know why. Did I miss a turn or something? Yeah. Let's go. I've annoyed some people back there. Where are we, by the way? Metz. I must have taken a wrong turn at Metz. Yeah, I don't think that there's black holes like have been, you know, described to us. There may be something similar, but a black hole is just a logical, mathematical construct to account for problems with the model that has been presented to us. Okay, I gotta get over here to the left and take this loop-de-loop back the other way for some reason. Why in the world am I going this way? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna shift down to 7th. Okay. Don't want to tag anything with the trailer there. Okay, 8th. Come on. Whoa. 9th. Strasbourg. Luxembourg. Paris. So somehow I took a wrong turn here. Maybe? I'm still not sure what happened. I need to pay closer attention here. Okay. Okay, Strasbourg. Mannheim. Yeah, I'm supposed to take this exit. Did I? Okay. Back up to 10th. Whoa. Okay. Now one merge. Okay, we'll look clear. I'm breaking all kinds of traffic rules here, but you know. So let's let me recollect what I was talking about before we went through all of that. You know, NASA, not trustworthy. Einstein and theory of relativity, a house of cards. It's oh my, speeding. They dropped it to 80, they dropped it to 70. Okay. I'm not paying close enough attention to my driving here, gentlemen. Okay. So I'm losing money, hand over fist. I don't know if we're even going to have enough to buy another garage and a truck. We might have to take some other jobs. Let's shift it back to 1, 3. if you're familiar with the formulation of relativity, that E equals to mc squared, with c being the speed of light held constant, I mean, that's an arbitrary choice. Something had to be held constant. Energy could have been constant. Mass could have been constant. But no, in order to make it all work, with his Laplace transforms and whatnot, Einstein had to hold the speed of light constant. But that's only a mathematical requirement. That does not dictate anything to the universe, okay, to reality. So relativity is an unfalsifiable hypothesis about the nature of reality and space-time and all of that. There's no way to really confirm that time slows down when you travel near the speed of light. How are you going to confirm that? I mean, perhaps at some point in the future with nanotechnology they could accelerate a device to near speeds of light, and a small molecular device with a clock on it or something, and test time dilation there, but that hasn't happened yet. And to assume that that time dilation is just true because Einstein said it is ridiculous. You need to observe time dilation and then start basing your theories around it, not the other way around. But that's what's happened. We have engaged in imaginative science, not inductive science. Imaginative theories, not inductive theories. The theories that form the crux of the foundations of scientism in the modern age are all imaginative. None of them are empirical. So what has happened is you've built a house of cards where all positions must be defended vociferously by so-called experts and scientists who seek to prevent any real questioning of their positions through needless complications, overly complex mathematics, and just pure metaphysics, which is all mathematics really is. It's obvious when you've, let's say, studied math to the point where I have. I've been through differential equations. I understand that a solution in math is no guarantee. It's not the same as running a scientific experiment. Now, for one thing, just because something works mathematically does not mean that it's unique. This is the problem with mathematics. You could have an infinite number of solutions. We're approaching Strasbourg. Okay. To any given type of problem. Or you could just generally have multiple solutions. So when you talk about things like it looks like the planets and the sun are revolving around us, one solution is that that instead of that, the Earth is actually moving around them, and the mathematics of it all works out. But an equally plausible, mathematically speaking, solution is that the sun and the planets move around us. It all works out the same mathematically. And see, that's the problem. A lot of people just don't understand it. So they'll say that math is reality. Well, no. Math is an attempt to model reality by humanity, by the human mind, but it's no guarantee that any attempted model is complete or that it's unique. So that's where we stand these days. And that's why I am world shape agnostic. because I simply am going to have to ride the shoulder next to this bus. Okay, let me get back. Wow. Okay. 129,666. That's frightening. Euros remaining. So we're under 130,000 euros. So I just got a ticket of some kind. Was it a speeding ticket? Or maybe it was a loan payment. Probably was a loan payment. It's about that time of the day. So, you know, there's different... When I say world shape agnostic, I'm not just talking about flat Earth versus spherical Earth. I'm talking about, you know, concave Earth, hollow Earth. I'm talking about geocentrism. I'm talking about toroid, interdimensional splicing. There's all kinds of options available as to what our world could be and what determines, you know, the way things are. Things that we possibly haven't even considered. And I'll know a lot of people will say, well, they've got photos of Earth from space, but that's a joke, right? You know, a lot of that stuff, well, all of it, as far as we can tell, is photoshopped. Even the images of Earth from, supposedly from the moon, show clear signs of being photoshopped. So, there's no, like I said, the sources for those images are NASA. And thus, they're just not trustworthy. I'm not going to trust an organization whose livelihood depends on making me think that space is, you know, that holds a monopoly, basically, on this information. And because they hold the monopoly on it, and you can't just launch a rocket in your yard and take off and go out into space and confirm these things on your own, you just have to take their word for it. And, you know, that's something I mentioned yesterday in the discussion that got screwed up, but the roots of NASA, the people who founded it, are not trustworthy. Werner von Braun, a Nazi, who I believe was involved in the deaths of many Jewish factory workers during the Holocaust times. So, you mean, I'm not saying that all Nazis can't be trusted, but it just, why? I mean, why trust this particular Nazi, you know? I don't know. He, you know, he was a rocket scientist and engineer, and but it doesn't mean everything he said was true. And then you had Jack Parsons, a disciple of Aleister Crowley, a Satanist, basically, who started Jet Propulsion Laboratories, JPL. And so that's the root of this whole space program. It's mired in the occult, which the Nazis were an occult organization to begin with. They certainly were not a traditional Christian organization. They weren't necessarily atheists either, but they were, like I said, very heavily mired in the occult practices, summoning demons, possession, precursors to MK Ultra, mind control, trauma-based fracturing of the human mind. Yeah, I guess this is as good a place to stop as any. Out here on the highway. Let's see. Let's go ahead and kill the engine. We are approaching Basel. just to the west of Zurich. Let me pull up the map here. See where exactly we're at here. Zurich. I guess that's Germany. So we're coming. Let's zoom in a bit. Approaching Basel. You've got Bern over here, Zurich there. And then when we hit Milano, we'll be in Italy. So we have already traveled a good chunk through Europe, going through France, Luxembourg, and now Germany, now into Italy. So I think go ahead and wrap it up here. And we'll talk again real soon. This is Convoy Conspiracies signing off.